Okay, so let's say you have your camera, you got your lenses and all the gear that you need for your video production. You send out proposals to clients and somehow some of these proposals get approved and clients go, how much is this going to cost me? I think at this stage, a lot of us are going to freeze, and this is the first problem we face as beginner filmmakers. What's going on, beautiful people? At Gobina right here, and you are welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how you can charge your clients for video production work that you do for them, and I'm going to break it down to you guys on how I go about it. I know this topic is one of the topics that is a nightmare for beginner filmmakers, and it's just so difficult to set your price list and decide on what you're going to be charging clients for production work. When I want to charge my clients for work, there's a couple of things that I actually consider, and I'm going to break it down into 5 different sections. The first section being your pre-production. With your pre-production, this is a stage where you consider all the planning and everything, the meetings you have with your clients, the time you spend trying to develop the concept and build it and all that, and also the time that you spend prepping your gear for the actual shoot. So you're spending time on these activities, so it's a smart idea that you charge for these. You can set your rate, it's all up to you, and you know how much your time is worth and how much experience you have, and you just have to go with that and see what works best for you. So when you're charging clients, keep in mind your pre-production, the amount of time that you spend preparing things and all that, so charge for that. The second part is actually the production itself. And this is the stage where you actually get onto the field and you film stuff. So you're talking about the amount of time that you use to set up your audio, your lights, your camera itself, and do multiple takes and all that. And you definitely should be charging for this. I think everybody knows that you should be charging for this. This is what most people charge for, and they tend to forget about the amount of time that I spend doing all the stuff in preparation. There's actually a couple of ways that you can go about it. You can go with hours or you can go with day rates. I definitely do not do hours. I've done that before and that just doesn't work for me. So I stopped doing hour rates and now I go with day rates or half day rates. And the reason why I did that is because I realize a lot of times when I tell clients I'm going to use a certain number of hours to work on a project, say for example 4 hours, I realize that I end up spending a lot more time than I anticipated that I would. So if I said I would use 4 hours, I end up spending maybe 6 hours or maybe even more sometimes, because when you're setting up lights and audio and all that, things really don't work your way, especially when you're in an environment that it's not controlled. So you need to keep that in mind. I go with day rates, and so far it's been working pretty good for me, and I think I'm gonna stick with that. A half day of work is anything from 1 hour to 3 hours, and a full day of work is anything from 4 hours right up to 8 hours. So I charge based on that, and at this stage you can actually pick out the hours and decide how much you can charge for each hour, so you can have a ballpark of what it's going to cost for a full day of production work. The third part would involve post-production. Most of the times when you film content for clients, they would expect you to edit it as well. So this is the part where the post-production comes in, and you're basically editing and you're spending hours doing this as well. And what I've decided to work with is, I told myself, with every full day of production work comes along 2 days of post-production work. So if I'm going to be filming for 8 hours, then I charge my clients for 16 hours of post-production work. And so far this works good for me. All right, so let's jump into our fourth part. The fourth part, I like to call this extras, and it involves just a variety of things. Now this is actually a variable which comes into the scene, and sometimes it's not in the scene. So for example, if you're going to be filming content in a location which is far from where you live, so you have to spend time traveling to that place, then I always factor in the cost of traveling. So if you have to drive there, you have to put in the gas money, the amount of time that you spend on the road getting from point A to point B to film the content. And also if you're going to be having any actors in the scene, you need to pay them, so you factor in the price. And there's just a lot of other things that you consider at this stage. So I think it's extremely important that you keep this in mind and you make sure you write it down so you don't forget, and you can charge your clients for these things, extras as I like to call it. The fifth part, which is quite as important as well, and I think most people tend to forget about this or neglect it, is your equipment. You spend lots of money purchasing equipment. Camera gear is not cheap, it's expensive, and the more you use it, the more it wears, the more it tears, and all that. So it depreciates over time, and I think it's a smart idea to put a small fee on the use of your camera equipment. So if you're going to be using your camera, your monitor, your tripod, microphone, or whatever, you should put a small fee, a day rate as well, for using it. So in the future, you might be able to upgrade or change your equipment. So keep that in mind. Always charge for your equipment, because if you have to rent it, if you don't have that the sort of equipment that is needed for a particular project, you have to go out and rent it anyways, right? So assume that the client is actually renting your equipment and you charge them for that. So keep that in mind. Those are 5 parts, and if you bring them all together, then you're gonna have a round figure that you can actually charge your client for production work. Yeah, so I guess that's for me today. Thanks a lot for sticking around. It's my hope that this content was in some way helpful to you. If it was helpful to you, make sure you go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If your faces and you're in here, I would absolutely love it if you can give that subscribe button a left hook, hit the subscribe button. It's going to motivate me to make more content for you guys, and I hope that I'll see your faces in the next video. I wish I had 2 apples so I could actually juggle. No, I don't want to use my phone. I don't want to break it. I don't think this is a smart idea to actually juggle in here. So much stuff that can break. Let's do 3. After we do 3, we stop. Ooh. Really good. Really good. Well, I guess it's time to go, right? See you in the next one.